Well, I'm not really in the mood for this morning, but today we got to change the window regulator motor on the DeLorean. So here's what we use to do this job. Okay, the instructions tell you what tools you need right here on the front, but this is what I use for the job. X-Acto knife, harness tape, electrical tape, duct tape. Use this to protect your hands. Fir tree remover, I have a couple different types here. A pick, a 10mm wrench, flathead screwdriver. This was nice for prying the old track off the toll booth motor. Number 3 screwdriver, number 2 screwdriver, magnet, pliers, 1/4-inch drive with a couple extensions and a tall 10mm socket, electrical strippers, crimpers, flashlight. That's it. Everything you need for the job. I did this over a cup of coffee and a couple hours this morning, recording it for you guys listening to music. There it is, brand new motor. Got to go in that door. Okay, you can see all the stuff that's got to come out of these doors. We got upper trim, we got escutcheon, we got a guide for the top of the window. We got the lower escutcheon, the grab rail, the the mirror switch. There's fir trees. My doors need some work. This bracket should not be out here by itself. That's a future Jimmy problem. I'm just trying to fix the motor. I did figure out that my window motor is trying to work. You can hear it clicking, but we did find a few problems. This motor is way too loose in here. You can see me moving it. It's loose up top here. That bolt's about to fall out. This is, yeah, it's time to go. Now getting this thing out of here is going to be not fun. These doors are razor sharp. So a technique I like to do is actually run duct tape along the edges to protect my hands. And once you go to pull that motor out, you're gonna want gloves on. Well, as usual, I don't take my own advice and I cut my hands up. But we got the window motor out, and you can see I can slide the toll booth window by hand now. And really it's just two little studs at the middle of the window that push up and down that allow this window to go up. So upon further inspection, this is definitely not an original motor. It's a reproduction replacement, and it almost appears to me like it was for a right door and somebody flipped it upside down and forced it to work for the left door. I don't know. I can't make sense of it. It's garbage though. The track is actually still intact and was still going up and down. As you can see, the motor just spins this little stud right here, and it moves it up and down. It just reverses direction when you push the switch. The motor spins that little 1/4-inch drive looking stud right there. Motor was trying to work, but it's stuck, it's locked up. But the ironic part of this is my buddy Chris and I swapped this door when I first got the car and swapped all the guts over from my original door. So I likely knew this wasn't right, and I probably said something smart like that's a future Jimmy problem. And here we are 10 years later dealing with it. So I'm my own worst enemy on that. But you know, things cost money, etc. So this is the same reproduction unit that all the companies sell. This is from DeLorean's Houston. And you can see it's different. So I'm going to have to follow the instructions. The cool thing is DeLorean sends all the hardware and stuff required to do this, even some noise isolation pads with the new one. And they send step-by-step instructions, which is cool because if you've never taken one of these doors apart, it can be very intimidating. It's not really hard. You just got to take your time. Took a couple things loose that you normally wouldn't have to because this window motor was not right for the door. So I've got the grip support bracket and one of the lock rods out. And you can see that this is the electric motor that was famous for trapping people into the car when the car first came out. And I have mine disconnected in the back of the car. I'll probably just take it out of here. It's just extra weight that doesn't need to be there because I'm never going to use that system. But all this stuff is razor sharp in here. All of it. So just be careful. Okay, I went ahead and removed that door lock module because, like I said, those original ones are a good way to get stuck in the car, and I'm never going to use that system. It also makes using your key to lock and unlock the door significantly smoother. So I've got this harness loose here, and I'm going to go ahead and start trying to put the new motor in. Now, DMC's instructions call for you to remove the 2 brackets and put an M6 stud here. This is going to end up attaching to the back side of this door handle bracket. Now, their instructions claim that you can stick the whole assembly into the door without taking the motor off. But I know from experience it's easier to take the motor off, and also from buddies that have had similar results. But I'm going to try to do it their way and leave the motor on and see if I can make it happen. Yeah, very quickly learned that it may be possible, but it's stupid. Just take the motor off. Okay, I want to show you how I did this because it's super easy. So you see I have the window pulled down about 2 inches so that I can access the studs and I can move this around. Eventually I'm going to get that on there. Before I do that though, so this plate here slips through this hole, and there's just enough room to get that plate in without the motor off. And now that this is all loose, you can stick one hand in here, the other hand in here, and you can easily guide the motor through its frog right there. And now I have room to put the spacers in with one hand and the bolts in with another. So I'm gonna get the motor attached to this while it's all easy to move around in the door. Then before we attach anything down here, I'm gonna get the 2 studs attached to the window up here, and then it's all just reversed from taking it all apart. My wife and friends make fun of me because I slice myself constantly in this shop. So she's put a first aid kit in the top of my toolbox that I use all the time. But I finally took my own advice after slicing myself and put some duct tape in here. I gotta get that last bolt on the bottom of the motor, and then the rest of this will be easy. Okay, so your easiest one is this top left one, then move to the top right, and then the one that's a pain in the butt is that one right there on the bottom. Now that the motor's reattached and it's in its cog, and we can move the whole assembly, you push the toll booth window down. I got one nut started right here. You can see that. What I'm gonna have to do now is lift that motor that direction up in the door, and that's gonna pull that bracket down far enough that I can get the second nut on. I'm gonna leave these, once I get these on there, I'm gonna snug them down, and then the rest will be just getting the mounts down here. Okay, you can see how I've had to pull the door down to get those where I need them. About halfway down, and I've got that tilted. I've pushed my flashlight on the track here and got that started, and then I used my hand to get the 2 nuts on. So now those are still loose. I'm gonna get the door assembly where I want it, and then I'll probably tighten those down now while it's easy to move around. Okay, so I moved the window down about 1 inch, or up to about 1 inch from closed, and that gives me access to the 2 nuts. Those are tight. Now I'm gonna start wrangling this thing where it's gonna go. And you can see now, once you're at this point, it naturally just sits in the door. So the rest of this is easy. See, my hands are taking a beating. So if you can do this job with gloves on, you're a better mechanic than me. I can't work with gloves. And if you can do this job without cutting yourself, you're also a better mechanic than me. Okay, so you can see here, now DMC Houston provides all this, the new hardware and the brackets. I loosely installed the brackets on the motor itself and then looked at the instructions. These are loose. Now I'm gonna put the door handle frame back in the door, and this stud's gonna attach to that. Once we have hardware on everything, we'll loosely snug everything up, and then we'll test the motor before we go any further. Okay, so I've got my door handle support frame back in the door loose, and I got the nut on the M6 stud on the window regulator track arm loosely attached. Now I'm gonna get the motor, everything's still loose here, to where it's sitting happy. I'm gonna snug that up, and then I'm gonna put this frame back where it needs to go. Everything's under tension now, so you're gonna have to put a little pressure on it. Okay, I've got the motor sitting happy here. I snugged these three up, and I saved that one for last because that guides the motor track. Snug that one up now. So we're snug on the window track itself. You can see those two nuts there. This is a new spot. This isn't where the original window mounts, but I didn't have an original. And then these are the two brackets here. So they include this weather-tight connector with two crimps on the end of it. And the original DeLorean wiring is a red and gray wire and a gray and blue wire. Now the window motor's stupid. It doesn't understand polarity. It just understands which direction the current's coming from. So if you put the wires on and your window switches backwards, just flip the wires and it'll fix your problem. But before we go any further, I'm gonna cut these two ends off and I'm gonna stick them in here and I'm gonna make sure that the motor works. Now for the moment of truth here, does my new window work? My door light's on, and let's try to go down. Okay, well, down went up, and up goes down, so I gotta reverse my two wires here, but look at that. Motor goes all the way up, window sits happy. You know, one pro tip on these electric window motors that drives me nuts is when your window gets up, let go of the switch. Don't hold it down. And when your window goes down, let go of the switch. Don't hold it down. That's what burns these motors up. So just take care of them. I'm going to switch these wires so my window switch works the right way, and then we'll go ahead and reassemble the door. Okay, let's try this again. I'll press down. My motor should go down. Okay, there it goes. All right. So window motor works. It's not moving around in here. It's the best my window has ever worked, but I'm gonna clean up this wiring here, tuck it in, and then reverse assembly here. Yeah, I use this included butyl tape in the kit here, which is a pain in the butt, but it gets the job done. And I kind of got this old moisture membrane reattached to the door. It doesn't really do much anyway, but it's attached and it's not flopping around. So now I'm going to stick the lower escutcheon door grip thing, whatever you want to call it, back onto the door. This guy right here. This guy. Pro tip, if you take this inner door handle frame out, that requires you to loosen this door handle rod and move it out of the way. You just pop that clip off and drop it down. I've done this from the past, so don't do this to yourself. Make sure you get this door linkage, this lock actuator rod, hooked back up in the right spot and connected on both ends, because it can fall out and make you think it's connected when it's not. So get this connected. Make sure your electrical stuff is routed the way you want it. And then this guy goes right back up on there. Okay, another pro tip. This is a great time to replace all your fir trees if that's what you want to do. I'm going to be back in this door again because I have issues that need repaired. But one trick, the old screwdriver with a taped on bolt, right? When you put this door grab handle back in there, that guy is a pain in the butt. So just tape it to your screwdriver. Okay, I got my escutcheon back in, whatever you want to call that thing. I always mess it up. I need to do some repairing here. This bracket's completely not connected to this. It's missing a couple of screws. I'm going to do that another time, but switch, going to put that in here, make sure that still adjust my mirror, and this is the last opportunity. I'm going to check the window again, make sure it's still working before I put anything else on. Plastic trim in here. The last thing we got to do is put our window support frame back in. And this is a good opportunity to replace this felt strip. If it's looking real rough, this has already been replaced, but it was falling off. So what I'm going to do is take this thing off and just crimp it down in a few spots with a pair of pliers to make it hang on that rail better. And then put all these screws back in. Last step, put your upper trim back on and reassemble. Okay, my upper guide is in and the window felt is on there much better now. So this will keep our window from rattling. Don't forget to reroute your electrical wires. Clip here, clip there. And last thing we gotta do is put the upper trim piece on. Okay, the door is reassembled. Moment of truth. Does it work? I got my DMC light up window switches here. Big fan of those. I'm gonna go down. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. Boom. That job is done. I gotta do it to that window over there because I have a feeling the same garbage motor that was on this side is on that side over there. And what's happening on the other side is my window is not going up evenly and it's getting stuck. And so I'll be ordering another one of these kits to do this door. And I'm curious if anybody out there knows what this is. Is this an old DeLorean 1 replacement? It just seemed like it was for the right door and it was forced in the left door. If you know, leave a comment. I'm curious. But I have to say, very impressed with the DMC Houston kit. They've really stepped up their game. Everything was labeled. All the hardware you needed for the job was here. The instructions were pretty good. Obviously, I modified the instructions a little bit. I've done this a few times, but everything you need if you've never been in your DeLorean door, they include it. So instructions, everything like that. So like I said, they've stepped up their game. I'm super impressed. I'll be ordering the same kit for the other side, and I think there's no need to look anywhere else on that kit. So sorry for the quality this time. I did this video with a cell phone. I've been fighting a super bad cold this week, and honestly, getting a GoPro and a mic up in that door just isn't easy. But if you're a DeLorean out there, DeLorean owner, or a future DeLorean owner out there, you will be doing this job at some point. These windows, especially if your car has an original window regulator, it's going to go out. Just like a torsion bar, it seems really hard and difficult, intimidating, and there's a lot of armchair mechanics out there on the internet that's going to scare you into thinking you got to take this to a service shop. You don't. Just take your time, take everything apart, nice and easy, save your screws and your nuts, put them in even piles, take pictures, take your time, protect your skin. These doors are sharp. We'll see you next time on Time with Steel Garage. And hey, if you haven't liked, subscribed, hold your friends, please do. I really appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.